All right, welcome back to Beyond Sports. Just got done with some Nuggets knowledge. Now we're going to be talking about the best way for the Nuggets to repeat this year. What do we think? How we think the perfect playoff picture would look for the Nuggets so far at the 2 seed. So currently we got the Lakers versus the Pelicans. They're playing for the play-in spot. Whoever wins plays the Nuggets. Who would you rather see between those two teams?
You know, it's really hard to say. I think the Lakers for us, especially lately, is a better matchup. I think that we just have that team somewhat figured out. You know, knock on wood, obviously. We have to respect any opponent in round one, and I think that's going to be the most important thing is to not be distracted by round two. We got to come in. We got to be focused on the team at hand. My preference would be the Lakers, especially because of how we have played them and just, again, how we match up with them overall, I think is best for us. But honestly, I think that was kind of a best-case scenario for the team. I think with who we're going to end up playing, either one of those teams, Pelicans or Lakers, is going to be a solid matchup for us in a 7-game series. And I think that we're going to see a quick 5-game series, hopefully, with either team.
Yeah, I definitely think so, too. They're kind of little give and take from each team. Like the Pelicans, I think, are a more complete roster. They might not have as much star power, but I think the overall depth and way that they've constructed their current roster is better than the Lakers, but they don't have the experience that the Lakers have.
No.
Or the star power, for that matter.
Yeah, I was going to say
they
their
don't
top
have LeBron
talent
or AD.
is much better than the Pelicans' top talent. But that's not to take away from the Pelicans at all. Like you said, much more complete team. They got some really good budding young guys. Some people I like, CJ McCollum, kind of been out of the picture lately from a news standpoint, but still a really productive player.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram coming back into the picture as well. Honestly, that would be who I'm most worried about out of everybody there. Would be a Brandon Ingram type player. He's just very fast, very good when he's hot, especially with the shooting. So, I think he would be kind of a big X factor for them if we were to play the Pelicans. With the Lakers, I think LeBron's obviously always the biggest concern.
100%. And then Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis, yeah, he's a concern as well. Jokic handles him pretty well.
Him in the first round is, I think, a little different than him in the Western Conference Finals like last year.
Yeah, especially with how much they battled.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not as tired and worn down from 2 other series in the playoffs.
That's
so
true.
It's a little fresher Anthony Davis. And do I think that's going to stop Jokic? No chance. But I think it might help AD play a little better on offense.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's exactly what we need to be concerned with. And we just need to respect whatever opponent we get. And just like we were talking about against the Spurs, we got kind of caught sleeping at the wheel, and we just can't have that happen in this round one. We need to come in and get the job done right out of the gate and just get it over with and hopefully get a couple of days extra break between round one and round two.
I think they're going to come in laser focused.
But, you got to always be cautiously optimistic in this game. And every time I've gotten cocky with any team, you pay for it. And even though that's a little superstitious as a fan, obviously I'm not out there playing the game with them. But I just feel like, they have to have that kind of mentality coming into it. It's like, hey, everything's earned. It's just like last year. We don't have anything. We got to prove everything over again. And I think they're ready to do that. That's one thing I like about the Nuggets is they really know how to get it locked in. This team is really comfortable together. There's a lot of positives for us heading into this postseason. I feel like the only negative is we have so many sports analysts thinking we're going to win it this year, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that either. Whenever you see ESPN saying, are the Nuggets a shoo-in for a repeat this season, it definitely kind of makes you worry a little bit because they're never right about anything.
Yeah, well, and it's just not being the underdogs.
And neither are we. Let's get that clear here, too.
Yeah, the conversations last year was, is this the weakest 1 seed ever? Is this even a challenge? Like, are they just walking to the finals? And, this year there's no question that this is a battle. And the West has never been stronger. We've never seen 3 teams tie for first place with 1 game left to go. We've never seen that before in any conference. So pretty unbelievably talented league this year. And just even further than that, we get all the way down to, I think it goes as far as the 10th seed, right? It's only like 10 games back from first place.
Something like that. It's
super
incredibly close conference right now.
Very close conference. And to see the Nuggets come in and get a better regular home season record and not have Jamal Murray for a quarter of the season, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think they could get much better than they were last year. I kind of felt like that was the mountaintop for how they played, especially just kind of seeing how they started this year off. But when you really sit down and look at how they've produced, I mean, it is better. They have improved in a tougher conference, and they have won more games with like better competition. It's been unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, their starters last year actually played less games as a starting unit together. Last year they were 27-14, so a total of 41 games. This year they're 37-11, so total of 48 games.
Much better
Yeah.
win percentage as well.
Yeah, a lot better win percentage. And I think that's probably one of the biggest differences between the Nuggets and the rest of the league is their starting five is just unbeatable if they're healthy. In a 7-game series, that is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they just have to have that confidence. They have to have that focus. And, you know, there's just some major keys for us being able to make this back-to-back trip, right? It's a long road. And first and foremost, Murray's health is the most apparent. And I've really appreciated how tough Murray has displayed himself to be. He has had a couple of close calls this season already, and thankfully nothing has come from that. I think that is a big shout out to his rehabilitation along the road. I mean, he has really upped his durability, in my opinion. These are injuries that we would expect him to miss a lot more time for.
Yeah.
So really like to see that. It's still a big concern, only playing 59 games this season, missing 23 total. That's always a scare, but I think that was always done out of caution, and I think that was done to get us here, to ensure he is here now, and he is.
Ready to go.
And he is geared up. He's dropped 35, looking good. He's got his rhythm. So really excited about him. 13-10 without Murray. So he's one of the biggest X factors on this team. Even though he's only about a 20-point-per-game scorer, that doesn't do him enough justice for what he gets it done on the court. He's just such a heart to the team that is the Nuggets.
Yeah, they're 44-15 with him.
I mean, that's a massive difference. We go from a 500 team to, what is that, like 75% roughly? I mean,
Close
that's
to, yeah.
pretty unbelievable impact from a player perspective. So what else do we need to have here?
I really think MPJ is going to need to step up a little bit more in the playoffs next year, and I think that's going to kind of come from now he has more experience. He's been there. He's done it. He went through a shooting slump in the finals, and that was bad, but he can play great, and I think he's going to be the biggest X factor because what we lost in the bench from last year, I think we're going to get back from production from Michael Porter Jr. for these playoffs.
Yeah, MPJ has definitely shown himself to be somebody who can step it up. Only 13 points per game in the playoffs last year is just kind of unacceptable. I mean, that is not going to win us a championship, and him being labeled as the X factor, I think, is exactly right because we need him to at least give us the 17 that we know he can give. If he gets above 15 points per game, then we're in good shape, I think. Like that's kind of our floor for MPJ and his scoring. Anytime he gets a good game, there's a good chance we've won.
I definitely agree. I think I personally would like to see it closer to 18 than anything because we know he's capable of it, and I think he's going to be getting a lot of open looks in the playoffs. Obviously, I could be totally wrong, but if he just hits the open looks that a lot of the times he was missing last season, especially in that Heat series, I think 18 a game is easy for him to make. And I think he's going to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. Still kind of been Mr. Roller Coaster Porter Jr. this year with his scoring. Sometimes they're getting 25, sometimes they're getting 10, sometimes they're getting 15, sometimes they're getting 13. Like, it's just darts on the dartboard with him on a range sometimes. But when he gets that rhythm going, when he gets locked in, it is very clear.
They're unstoppable.
And he gets it done. Yeah, and he gets it done because you can count on Jokic and Murray. There's never a question about that. And then when you add that third player in there, that's when the team is really unbeatable. And I think last year we saw more of that from Aaron Gordon. I think he's the one who really kind of stepped up for us throughout that entire playoff series.
I definitely agree.
He had
shot
some
out of his mind
really
from
big
3.
games. Yeah, best he's ever shot, I think, in his whole career from 3. Just being Mr. Reliable, the Mr. Nugget. I mean, man, what a legendary season for him last year. And I know he's going to come with that same locked-in energy. So if we can have that kind of like boost from MPJ, I mean, just think of that.
And I agree. And I think really MPJ is going to be huge in a Suns or Timberwolves series, and that's
Right.
who the Nuggets are going to have to play in the second round.
Because we have to go deep for that. We're
Yeah.
going to have to earn it this year. I mean, not that we didn't last year, but we have to really fight for it this year.
Yeah.
But 7
Absolutely.
games, I like 7 games for us. If it was a 1 game, I think I'd be more concerned. But 7 games, I mean, these
I
guys
don't
know
think
what they're
anyone.
doing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in the West can handle them in a 7-game series.
Yeah,
I would rather not play some teams.
yeah. Rather not see him. But like
Yeah.
Jokic said, he didn't care. He's like,
and
we're not worried about
I don't
anybody.
think they do care, and I think they
Yeah.
want to play the best team in front of them.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. They're here to prove whatever. They're like, we don't care.
Yeah.
And I love that about these guys. And, one thing that I think is kind of a strange thing when you say it out loud is CB's production last year, just for how I remember it. And this wasn't that long ago. CB only averaged 3.2 points per game in the playoffs last year, only 2.1 rebounds. I mean, that is so far off of what I thought he was producing.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this last week, but for some reason I thought he had like 10 points per game.
Yeah, at least towards the end there for sure. But I think that this is huge. CB's already shown that he is really gearing up for this playoffs. He's already in the form that we saw him in kind of towards the finals, I think, now. And I think that he's going to continue to rise to that occasion, especially coming off the bench. I don't know what it is about him, but he just is always so worked up in these big time games.
He's a spark plug.
He is, and you can just feel it. You can feel the
You
energy
saw it in the
coming
Minnesota
off.
game where he dunked 3 times on Rudy
Oh my
Gobert in a
gosh.
minute and a half.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a crazy
He had a great
experience.
cut for a dunk.
Oh, man.
Immediately came back, got an oop for a dunk. Immediately came back, dunked on Gobert's head.
And he's had
I mean-
quite a few good games lately.
Yeah.
And I've been very impressed with his play style, and I think he is extremely poised for the playoffs. I think he's going in kind of underrated, even though last year, again, labeled the unsung hero, kind of guy at the end of the whole thing, and, definitely got his flowers when we won. But just to see that he
had
produced
a great offseason, too.
had a
pouring
great off-
drinks at the local bars
Yeah.
for people.
But he stayed locked in. He's coming. He's ready. This guy is really straight-laced and focused on winning, and I think it's showing,
Yeah. He's
And-
got 11 or more points in the last 3 games. Last 3 out of the last 5 games.
That's great. And that's what we want from him. And if we get that from him during this playoff run, we're in great shape. And if we can get Reggie Jackson to just tighten up a little, maybe not just go straight to the hole and not try and pass or make a play or anything.
Maybe not try to shoot a floater over a 7'2" center.
Yeah. Yeah. If
Wemby, Gobert, Wemby again.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can avoid some of that in this playoff series, I think we're going to be in good shape. So, between the Lakers and the Pelicans right now, I think our hopeful matchup is the Lakers. I think we all want to see a rematch there. But, there are no easy roads to this finals.
No, definitely
and I think, again, just kind of circling back to what we talked about in the beginning here, it's just staying focused on the objective at hand and making sure that we are treating our opponents with respect in each of these rounds and ensuring that we aren't underestimating anybody, because that's how we won last year, is people underestimated us.
Yeah, and I don't think that – I've said it a couple times already, but I just think they're too poised of a team to ever let that focus slip a little bit. I think they're always going to come in just laser focused to get the job done, and I think especially come Saturday for Game 1, we're going to see that. My guess is they win by 20 against, especially if they play the Pelicans. My guess is they win by 20. Lakers, I think they get not an easy win, but just a dominant win, but it still could be a close game like all the other Lakers games have been in the past couple of years. All right, that was our Nuggets playoff outlook with Beyond Sports. Be sure to follow us on social media at Beyond Sports 5280. Call or text the show at 720-446-8463. Again, that number is 720-446-8463. We've got a great interview with Al Baker coming up next.